Okay, yeah, so we can start.
Okay. Okay. So, it's gonna start right now. So, hi.
Hi.
So
Mhm.
today, I'll be asking a couple of questions. The first subject is gonna be about prayer.
Mhm.
Um, so the first question is gonna be, what does prayer mean to you?
Okay.
Or do you guys have another word for prayer? Or
Yeah, before I jumping into the questions, thank you for
yeah,
inviting me for this. Thank you, Isabella.
yeah,
So yeah, prayer. Okay, so in the Buddhist traditions, I mean, going beyond the textual
yeah.
scriptures, uh, prayer has been more traditional, but in the text, in my lineage called Theravada Buddhism, what I know
Mm-hmm.
is that Buddha says that you need to practice what I teach you rather than just
Okay.
requesting something from me. And he extensively talk about certain practices about
Mm-hmm.
becoming a better person and then to liberate oneself at some point in
Yeah.
the repeated births of one's life continuity. So basically, in the traditional aspect, uh, prayer, to my understanding, could be something that has some psychological element. So when you um, request, wholesome things from, not requesting, when you sort of like mentalizing, uh, you know, uh, you know, prayer kind of stuff, it cleans your
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it
yeah,
really,
so
yeah.
that's something. But in the text, prayer is not something that much appreciated, but
Okay.
as a traditional element which helps Buddhist traditions to continue.
Yeah.
It is a sort of validator in a sense, but not in the mainstream text to
Yeah.
a high extent. Yeah,
Okay. So for you guys, do you think meditating is a bit more important than prayer, or
of
in a way,
course.
or is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So the main thing in
Okay.
the Buddhist teachings is cultivating the mind. So
Okay.
if we don't
Okay.
cultivate the mind, that's when you think that support is from outside. So Buddha says your real support is within you. That means suffering, happiness, they all you know uh, lie within oneself. So how do we know that suffering or happiness lie within? That's when Buddha says the world. To him, the world means inside of someone's mentality. So we construct connections, relationships, cravings, so on and so
Okay.
forth. So Buddha says if we look inside of our cravings, if we look inside of how we form our thoughts, so that we can understand how we can get rid of greed, hate, and delusion. They all are mentalized. So
Okay.
the best thing is look within, so that you will find out happiness and all that.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
So, before doing this presentation, I did do some research about your religion. Um, though it's all text, right? So it's harder to understand sometimes more reading than having someone explain me. So I'm glad I have this time for you to try to explain to me your belief.
Thank
So
you.
the second question is going to be, so with this being said, with the whole situation going on with COVID, how is your religion helping you go through the whole COVID, how do you say it, problem? Not really problem, but different situation kind of thing. How is it helping you?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I wrote a book about how to cope up with fear and anxiety that
Mm,
which arise from corona situation. That's on
yeah.
Amazon. Anyways, I can talk about how to encounter, face, mental suffering from this kind
Mm,
of a pandemic. Buddha says
yeah.
that Buddha does not specifically identify this kind of a pandemic, but he identifies pandemics, like situations like uncomfortable, difficult situations. And Buddha says we need to look at the cause of our discomfort, I would say, this kind of suffering, because we are suffering because we don't get to do the things that how which we have done in the past. So now it's a
Yeah.
completely different situation, so we can't go out, and we have to be with people that uh, we in the
Yeah.
past we choose to be with people even we like, but now we
Mm.
don't have a choice. We have to be with the people whom we like. Sometimes you
Yeah.
have some arguments, some fights, some
Yeah.
uncomfortable situations, because you never thought that this could happen. So Buddha
Yeah.
says you need to look at the cause of why this happened, and then understand that this is an unexpected situation, and then to
Mm.
practice patience, and then cultivate the mind so that you are not uh, you know uh, uh, you are not trying to uh, be in disharmony with other people, and
Mm.
you have a better chance to um, you know uh, notice other people's behaviors
Yes.
before, I mean, never than before.
Mm.
So understanding the behaviors of other people, understanding how other people think, and then practicing patience, and understanding, trying to understand these sudden changes. These all are sudden changes,
Yeah.
and trying to think that this will go away one day. That's a hope. We all know this
Yeah.
will one day, this will go away, but we never know when that would be. But
When, yeah.
keep that hope.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of
Okay.
things, but depending on the time, I can say those important things. Hmm.
Well, thank you for that. It does make sense actually. And I do hear that you make a lot of emphasis in cultivating the mind.
Yeah.
So, how do you cultivate your mind? Like, what's your main source to help you cultivate your mind? Let's say if you're having an issue, right? How does it, like, I don't know how to explain this part. How do you cultivate your mind in a way in a difficult situation?
Okay. So the first, okay, our fundamental objective that we know in Buddhism is to cultivate the mind. So how can we
Mm-hmm.
cultivate the mind? Cultivating the mind in the Buddhist Theravada Buddhist perspective means to uh, keep your mind free from three main unskillful thoughts: lobha,
Oh,
greed,
okay.
those are hatred, moha, delusion. So these are the three main, uh, you know, we call them unskillful thoughts, which distract us from the reality.
Mm.
So we can't see the reality if our minds are stuck in greed, hatred, delusion. Now what happens is that
Yeah.
now even when the corona situation hits everybody, uh, if
Mm-hmm.
people don't understand why this happened to us, and this particular situation which is pretty new to all of us, then what
Yeah.
happened, we become very greedy about, we are trying to hoard things that we already have. What happened when this happened in the early stage, people went and they stockpiling, and
Yeah.
they were really mad because they when they went to buy something before, when there was no this kind of a confusion. So
Mm.
trying to understand what happened. So then the mental cultivation in this context means trying to understand why my uh, mental what do you call impurity, because when you are not into the cultivating the mind, your mind is in impurity. So
Yeah.
then trying to understand why my mind goes to lobha, we call greed, dosa means hatred, moha means delusion. Basically what
Mm.
happens in the first stage is moha, that means delusion. Delusion means lack of knowledge of the particular incident. And then what
Oh,
happens
okay.
if you don't understand it, then it will take you to greed, because you immediately you try to defend yourself from the
Mm.
particular antagonistic uncomfortable situation. Then what happens when you are so much greedy, it will take you to anger, because you are responding really bad, you are reacting fast, you never know who you're talking to, and then you are doing a lot of bad things. So in Buddhist teachings, cultivating the mind is to protect the mind from greed, hatred, delusion by looking at the cause of any incident that does not keep your mind not free, so that you can cultivate the mind.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. So that was the first section. The second section is going to be about grief. I know that you guys, it's reincarnation, if I'm right.
Not exactly, but I can explain to you.
No?
But please go
Yeah,
ahead.
can you explain that? Because I tried to read about it, but I was getting very confused. So if you
Okay.
could maybe explain that.
Yeah, in the Buddhist teachings, we believe as long as we are not trying to attain the final goal called Nibbana or Nirvana in Sanskrit, we are in the opposite. So the opposite is, uh, reborning in different lives, repeated births of,
Yeah.
this life. What do you call, not life, existence? We call it existence. So birth, and then death, and then the birth. So we believe in this rebirth concepts. So reincarnation particularly applies to Hinduism, because they believe the same person is reborn. But in the Buddhist teachings, we don't believe the same person is reborn. For example, now me, Chandima, and when I die, I can't say Chandima is reborn, because every moment I'm getting changed. If I'm getting changed every moment because of the aggregates changes inside my body, then I can't call myself kind of a permanent entity, so that this permanent entity is reborn and traverse into the next life. So basically, I would say we don't believe reincarnation, but rebirth in a sense, with some exclusions. So until we attain Nibbana, we are in this repeated birth, cycle. That could be kind of like really precarious and very dangerous, because we never know we can be reborn as a human once again. It applies. It determines based on the last moment when you die, and also the good karmas you've been doing until you die. So you can be reborn in 31 places, one of the 31 places, which has heavens, hells, human world, and so on and so forth. So rebirth, so not reincarnation.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I was actually, that was one of my future questions, is what was the difference between both of them? But now I think I understand. But that's interesting though. So at your last moment, you said that that's one of the ways that it defines, in a way. Or did I get that wrong?
Yeah, the immediate, the sort of like, I can roughly say the next life, but I can assure that, let's say, if you are a good person and when you die, I don't think you will have any bad thoughts. So basically, the bad thought of the last moment, it can affect. That's why we ask people to be mindful all the time. So don't ask how to stay prepared for the death, because we never know when we're gonna die, but stay mindful all the time.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. So you actually touched to almost all the questions in that section. So it was very, yeah. So the second question is forgiveness.
Okay.
So let's say I do something wrong to someone, and now I understand a bit more about how the mind plays into it, right? And that view. So let's say I thought bad things and I said it out loud to someone else. How would forgiveness work?
It works really well, because in the Buddhist teachings, Buddha says that remorse and forgiveness, they are intertwined. Let's say somebody does a bad thing, and then Buddha says one needs to be remorseful about that particular thing, but should not dwell in that remorseful state, because the more you stay in that remorseful state, the longer you will be very suffering, because you are looking back at the thing and then thinking, oh, did I do that, So it's not a good feeling, but Buddha say you
Yeah.
need to be remorseful, because that can be a motivation for next time you for not doing it. But let's say
Mm-hmm.
you do a bad thing and it happened by mistake or maybe by intention, but we should be able to forgive. Buddha says
Mm.
in many places, forgiveness will cleanse your mind, because when you're holding back anything, and that will, you know, sort of like give rise to many other bad akusalas. But the
Mm.
problem, Isabella, is that in normal life, people do not think this way at some point. But textually speaking, I would say we should be able to forgive. But the problem is people might say I can forgive but not forget. Yes, you can have a
Yeah.
reference. Let's say somebody is very mean. If you think that person is not trying to, be a good person, then you have to have a reference, but not having an anger towards that person. So in Buddhism,
Okay.
forgiveness plays a bigger role, because if
Okay.
we can forgive, we definitely in our lives, in anybody's lives, things bad
Mm-hmm.
things may have happened, must have happened, right? So we should be
Yeah.
able to think them as as how do you call them, motivating points, or kind of places where you need to rethink, and how they happen, and what people you need to you could have associated and all that. Take it
Mm-hmm.
as a positive way, and then to believe in forgiveness. So we can't say that anger is the solution for anything. In the Buddhist teachings, Buddha says we should be able to spread loving kindness, no matter what,
Mm.
unconditionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one question that just came up to my mind is that can that affect the karma
Oh,
or
you mean can forgiveness affect karma, or
like yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Like let's say you are forgiven in something wrong that you did or in an action that you did,
mm-hmm.
um, and you yourself think you corrected it and you don't want to do it again, is that still going to be affected in the future or no?
Well, I mean, if you are so determined about what you are doing, what you will be doing
Yeah.
now in the future, and I think you are good to, live a good life, and I don't think
Mm.
there is any problem, because Buddha always believes in intention. Karma is intention, not
Okay.
the activity. In other
Okay.
religions, it was activity. Buddha says no. If
Yeah.
the activity doesn't have an intentional part, we
Okay.
can call them as a karma,
Oh, okay.
but don't
Okay.
use it as a free pass to kill someone, free pass to do something bad,
Yeah.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
kind of very personal kind of a thing. Use it in good faith. So any
Mm-hmm.
action which has no intention, that can be taken as a karma in the spiritual
Mm.
context in the Buddhist teachings. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Well, thank you for that. So we're halfway through. One of the last questions is going to be the role of women.
Yeah.
So I did see a little video about the role of women in Buddhism,
Mhm.
and I thought it was really interesting. But I wanted to know your point of view and what you think the role of women is in your religion.
Okay, so Buddha lived in 6 BCE. So that means long time ago. At that time, the woman was given a very poor position in the society, and even Buddha could not ordain women in the first place. But as
Mm-hmm.
time passes by, things got changed. I would say, uh, Buddha really wanted a woman to become nuns, but it
Oh,
happened at a
okay.
later time. And Buddha really said
Mm-hmm.
that woman and man, so they should be equally treated. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, so they should be equally treated. Uh, you know, uh, you know, they should be taken care by everybody.
Mm.
So they're kind of a positive attitude. There's no mention of putting them down or insulting
Yeah.
them. That happened at that time, but
Mm.
not with what Buddha said, what Buddha
Mm.
held as his ideas. Yeah, it's a pretty positive
Yeah.
attitude, like in today's world.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that actually one of the benefits, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but one of the strengths you guys have is peace, right? And equality, because if I'm right, one of the main factors is that like you are reborn, and you could equally become man or woman, right? If I'm
Yeah.
right. So that really plays a role in your religion and equality, right? That's why you respect everyone. That's what I read, and I just wanted to mention that that was a point that I thought was really interesting, actually.
Yeah,
So
yeah, at some point we must have been women too. We must have been animals too. Not because we
yeah,
must have been animals or women or men. I think we should respect everybody. Uh,
yeah,
you know, thinking that we must be may have been those kind of people in past lives could be a good
mm,
motivation factor. But I think we should be able to respect everybody. In the same way. One of the
mm-hmm,
main reasons is loving kindness, unconditional loving kindness. That's that's when our mind should be able to uh, think everybody alike, not
mm,
thinking differently. Yeah.
mm. Well, okay. So now, you actually answered my one of the final questions. Um, this last part is just about, in a way, Canada.
Hmm.
So, what do you think, if there was a place where all the religions can be in peace together? So in the world, we know that there's usually a lot of fights since old times about religions, right? And the differences and how it brought like a lot of wars in a way. So what would you think of a place where religions can just come and talk, right, and just be together in one community?
Well, Canada already has this, you know, interfaith friendly interfaith situation. I think
Mm-hmm.
because I think the Canadian culture promotes uh, what do you call this friendly perspective about life uh,
Yeah.
rather than textual things that much. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I like it. I think this should be a good example, uh, to all the other countries in the world. I don't know, people take
Yeah.
it as a political thing because people don't like to separate religion from politics.
Yeah.
So I think, uh, let's say if I'm a serious Theravada Buddhist, but I should not
Mm-hmm.
bother other people about what I believe. I should always treat them as good people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so we can still practice our own philosophical or
Yeah.
religious things,
Like,
spiritual things, but we should not uh, put other people in danger for anything that
mm,
we believe. But in Buddhism, by exception, it's a very peaceful spiritual path.
yeah.
It's a way of life. I can't sometimes call it a religion or a philosophy, because if you look
Mm,
at the philosophical definitions and religious definitions, none of these things affect the Buddhist path. It is a
mm-hmm.
way of life. So I think when I think about other religions too, I think they are also the same. But I think we should always think about common, like a cosmic spiritual practice where everybody is taken care, and everybody is safe, and people try to take care of everybody. People try to think
Mm,
everybody equally. So these are the things I
mm,
think we should uh, bring to matter. Canada
mm,
is very positive and I think very progressive about that. But I think this
mm,
should also, uh, be a good thing to other countries too, other cultures too,
mm,
if they
mm,
don't
mm.
if they don't confuse religion from with politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to conclude, what is three main elements or values that you yourself have, not just as you speaking for your religion, but you as yourself, like right now, what is three values that you have that are important for you?
That's a very good question. I think I can go back to your questions. I think forgiveness is a big thing, because we all must have sort of like done something like what do you call by mistakes or things.
Yeah.
So we should be able to forgive in a
Mm-hmm.
positive way. And then the second thing
Mm-hmm.
is compassion, being able to feel what's going on. I think before that,
Yeah.
mindfulness. So mindfulness, compassion, and forgiveness. So I think that goes gradually. So you are mindful so that you can understand what's happening. That means compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And then with compassion, you understand that I need to practice forgiveness more than I used to be before. So those
Yeah.
three elements, I think, at this point.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
actually that's an actual good point. Yeah. Well, that was pretty much all my questions for today. Do you have any questions for me? Any comments? Anything that you'd like to state out to I don't know, just state out?
Okay. Do you mind explaining your purpose of having this interview? Like,
The purpose of this?
huh?
So, I said it in the email. It was to show the different religions and like in a way not to compare them, but to in the three, no, four categories that I gave you to see the approach, to see what the person thinks
Mm-hmm.
of their belief,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to show that in a way at the end, if we really look at it, that all the religions can actually like um, that they have a lot of values that are similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of the whole point, and also to take away the I'm gonna say this wrong, prejudices
Yeah.
that the world has.
Mm-hmm.
And in Canada, I do realize that we are better at it than other countries
Yeah.
sometimes, but we do have our own like little oops, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of also a video to help show everyone that yeah, we may all have different religions and beliefs, but we're all like we can all be together in a way, right? At the end, in like a
Yeah, that
peaceful
makes
way.
sense. Because if I asked the question, because if somebody's watching this video at the end, they
Yeah,
may get a sense of what's going on.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I thank you so much for your time. I
Thank you
really do
for
appreciate
inviting
it.
me.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions for me, or
Well, I think yeah, it's pretty much that's pretty much off. Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'll put a little message at the side. I actually learned more from you right now than I've spent like 2 hours trying to read a bunch of things.
Okay.
So thank you so much for
Not a
teaching me that
problem. I
and
hope that
everything.
your assignment and your whatever thing project will be a
Yeah.
success too. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Take care.